Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the WERKin Mommas podcast. I am Nikki Winston and so excited and glad to have you tuning in and rocking with me today. I am here to talk about a plethora of things. I am a certified public accountant. I'm also a CPA exam instructor and coach. I'm a writer. I'm a podcaster. I am a CPA firm owner, and I like to give career advice and share my experiences as a Black woman slash disruptive millennial working in corporate America, but also running my own businesses. And one of the things about my podcast is that it's very cathartic for me. It's very therapeutic in a way for me. And so I don't edit my podcast. I want the organic emotion, the feeling, the moment to live through the episodes. And I don't want to edit out something just because I take a sip of water or I clear my throat or one of my kids barges in to my studio while I'm recording. So I'm excited to jump into today's episode. If you are tuning in for the first time, welcome. Thank you for being here. If you are a regular listener, hey, hello, welcome back. So excited to have y'all rocking with me. So let your network know that you are listening to this episode by using the hashtag WERKin Mommas, WERKIN MOMMAS. Also, feel free to tag me on social media. My handle is at Nick Winston CPA, NIKKWINSTON CPA. You can also find more information about my firm, the Winston CPA Group, about my ghostwriting and content creation services, as well as get right for the CPA exam, all on my website at nickWinstonCPA.com. And you can also find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at Nick Winston CPA. So let's jump into this episode. Grab your water, grab your tea, grab your whiskey, whatever pleases your palate. Let's go. Hey, y'all. How are y'all doing? I hope y'all are doing well. I'm good. I am on the go as usual in my busy working mama life, but I had planned on being back in my office with my podcast mic and recording this conversation to share with y'all. But this thought came to me when I was in the shower this morning, and it's been on my mind ever since. And I said, I know I got to go to the dermatologist, but I need to say this in case somebody else is going through it professionally, in case somebody else can relate. So the first thing I want to say, thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for rocking with me. I do these episodes because y'all tell me y'all love them, because y'all are listening, and I so excitedly and so humbly appreciate it. But one quick tangent, I'm on my way to the dermatologist. For those of you who work in corporate, you work in these jobs with these benefits, and you want to make sure that you understand what's all available to you as an employee from a benefits and perks standpoint. So I'm going to the dermatologist for my annual skin screening, and this is an appointment that's covered by my insurance. And most employers have a list of covered things that are 100% covered, most of which are preventative visits. And this is one of those preventative visits. So for those of you listening, you work at a corporate job, or even if you run your own business and you have a nice benefits package, check and see what benefits you have that you may not know about, that you may need to take advantage of. So this is one of the ones that even if I didn't have it, I would have gone anyway. But it's nice to know that I can go and get another preventative check at no cost to me. Another thing that is so slept on with corporate benefits, which I'm going to do a whole nother episode about understanding your benefits and using them and making sure you don't lose them and stuff like that. But another thing that is so slept on is employee assistance programs. A lot of them might offer complimentary counseling or therapy sessions, whether it's financial counseling, you need to talk to a marriage counselor, if you're just needing to talk to somebody about life in general and how to move forward with things that you may be dealing with or that may be consuming you in a negative way. So I just wanted to put that out there real quick. Do not let your corporate benefits and perks go to waste. We'll have that conversation in depth another day. There's a fly in my car, y'all. It's too hot to have the windows down today, so I'm about to make a little bit of noise so he can fly out. And thank goodness he just flew out. But this episode today is me. It's about me coming out on the other side of some professional, what do I want to call it? Some professional challenges, if you will, right? When your coach needs coaching. How about that? I'm the CPA exam coach. I'm the executive career coach, and I give all this advice, and sometimes your coach needs coaching too. And it was a reminder to me and to share with y'all that I didn't get to this point in my career by myself. There were people who invested in me, people who invested time, their energy, their TEE, their time, their energy, and their effort. There's people who put me in rooms and brought me into conversations. And so for me to be here, now I have a leg to stand on, or a pedestal to stand on, thanks to y'all, where I can offer my experiences, my expertise to help you navigate the journey that is your accounting careers, right? So it's a myriad of things that happen. And so if I jump around or go on a tangent, y'all just roll with me, because I can talk about burnout, the symptoms of burnout, how you deal with the burnout, how do you stop yourself from going crazy when the burnout just gets to a point where you just want to throw everything away. I can talk about managing your manager when you need to have conversations or you need some coaching and guidance, but the manager isn't there, isn't present, or they may not even have the leadership capabilities. They may have a title of a manager or a director or a leader, but they may not necessarily exhibit those qualities or lead and coach in a way that brings value to their team and their direct reports. I can talk about putting your frustrations to the side for the greater good of the team, of the project, of the organization. But where I'm going with all of this is sometimes your coach needs coaching. And I've had moments in my career where I have had to take my own advice. When I talk to CPA candidates, when I talk to accounting professionals, whether they're new to the industry, fresh out of college, or 10, 20 years in their career, the fact that I can work with them and guide them and provide resources for them and create blueprints and career paths and plans and strategies for them. There are times when the expert has to pause and be a learner. And in my case, sit back and take things in and think about, what am I going to do next? But even before I get to what am I going to do next, what am I going to do right now? As I was going through this phase of burnout and feeling completely checked out of my job, it was hard. It was hard because I was torn between, I'm in a great culture, but I don't like my job. And I've had many experiences throughout my career where I've loved the job and hated the culture because of toxic work environments, because of leaders who don't know how to lead, because of leaders who know that change needs to happen, but they're not willing to invest financially, time-wise, or put any type of capital resources into changing the things that they know need to be changed. Or dealing with a company that there's great people and there used to be a great culture, but turnover and processes and funding have changed, which have all impacted the organization in a negative way. So this is a rare occurrence, a rare circumstance for me where I love the culture and I hate the job. I don't like the job. It doesn't play into my professional interests, what I'm passionate about, my skill set. I sat back and thought with this particular job, what have I learned from a technical perspective? What new accounting skill or leadership skill, or what have I taken as a tool that I can put in my toolkit and say, I know how to do this, or I'm good at this now, or I knew how to do this before and now I'm even stronger at it now. I had a hard time articulating that. And the other thing I want to say, I am hands-free. I'm driving, I'm hands-free. Anybody that knows me knows, if you text me while I'm driving, I'm probably not going to answer the phone, because I do not play about that whole texting and driving thing. When somebody if I'm in the car with somebody and they driving and, wow, 4 sheriffs, it's like to catch a smuggler, like they expecting somebody. They waiting on somebody. But anyway, they ain't looking for me, so thank God. But back to what I was saying is being in this place of, I love the culture, I hate the job. And hate is a strong word. I'm not going to say hate. I take that back. Scratch that from the record. I'm not going to edit it out. Y'all know I don't edit my episodes. I'm not going to edit that out. But scratch that from the record. It is not a job that I hate, because there are some aspects that I like. But there's a big part of it that I do not like, that I'm not interested in. And the reason is because I have this category of things that professionally I know are not for me and that I won't do. One of those is governmental or nonprofit accounting. Even though I teach candidates how to learn these concepts for the CPA exam, it's not something I would do professionally as a career. Not interested at all. No thanks. Shout out to everybody who are passionate about that governmental or nonprofit space. I am not. So I appreciate you for having a passion that me and other CPAs probably don't. A second area that I knew I was not interested in was public accounting. Quick story about that is the biggest thing that turned me off from public accounting is the way that those big four careers were marketed to undergrad accounting students. It was, if you had to give a 30-second speech about it, it's you travel a lot, you live out of a suitcase, it's really, really rough, really, really taxing on your time, you never get to take vacation. But hey, when you come out of it, you're like top level talent. That's how it was marketed to me. And after thinking about the rigor of my accounting program and finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel to graduation after 5 years, hearing that as a career path was not exciting for me. And so I said, you know what? Nope, not doing that. I'm going to go straight to industry and I'm going to enjoy it. And I have enjoyed the ride for the most part so far. The third thing before I jump to the third thing, there was an experience I had a few years ago to go to work in public accounting as a consultant, not as an assurance associate or anything, but as a consultant. And the person who presented this opportunity to me was a recruiter, but she and I also had a relationship. We had known each other for a long time. We would meet up occasionally for lunch just to see how things were going. She wanted to know what I was doing with my career. She would pitch me a couple of jobs that never really worked out for some reason. Either the timing was off or something wasn't right with it. But I also talked with her and I stayed connected with her just to understand what's going on in the market. As an accounting and finance recruiter, she has insights. She's talking to hiring managers. She knows what's top of mind for companies as far as when they're prioritizing talent and skill sets that they need to bring into their organization. So we were mutually beneficial. And that was a long-term relationship. So she presented it to me. And I'm glad it was her presenting it to me, because when we talked about it, I was like, no, this is not what I like. And she said that. I know this is what you don't like, but hear me out, is what she said. So she's telling me about this role. You'll be in Big Four not Big Four, but you'll be working for an accounting firm as a consultant. Here is the scenario. Here's what's going on. This is the talent that they need. And I kind of already told them about you, was what she threw in at the end. So I'm like, seriously? Okay. I'm kind of laughing, but a part of me appreciated the fact that, number one, she and I had a relationship to where she could speak to her client about what I could bring to them without even having to come back to me and say, okay, tell me about what you did at this job and what about this and what are you looking for? She had already known those things over the course of this organic relationship that we cultivated. So that speaks to the power of relationships, number one. Also, the power of working with recruiters, because if you wait to start working with a recruiter when you are antsy and ready to leave your job, you are way too late. That's another conversation for another day. I could easily go on the tangent talking about recruiter do's and don'ts. And I think I'm going to record an episode about recruiter do's and don'ts, because I've been recruited, but I've also been the client where I was trying to fill roles on my team, and I worked with a lot of different recruiters. So I can sit on both sides of the table and tell y'all the ins and outs of working with recruiters. But I said all of that to say, number one, she was able to articulate my skill set and my value without me being in the room, number one, or on the phone in that case. Or I don't know if it was a phone call or an in-person meeting. But number two, I appreciated the fact that she presented that role to me, knowing that I initially told her I wasn't interested, because I felt like Had she not done that, I never would have explored this avenue. Now, if I fast forward to the end of that project, I freaking loved it. That was one of the, I know funnest is not a word technically, but it's a word to me. It was one of the funnest experience. Most fun is what the teachers would say, but this is what I'm saying, the girl from Cincinnati. It was one of the funnest professional experiences that I ever had. So the fact that my recruiter friend, or friend recruiter, because she was my friend first, the fact that my friend was willing to challenge me and presented this opportunity for me to do a double take on my career and say, I know you don't like it, and you said you didn't like it, but are you willing to explore new things? And she had already presented me and gave them such a glowing review about me that I ended up having maybe a 15-minute conversation with them on a Thursday or Friday. And then they asked me to start on Monday. It was Thursday. And I'll tell you how I remember it was Thursday. Because the following day, this company had their earnings call. And I had listened to the earnings call. And I found that out that the earnings call was the following day. My friend didn't even tell me. I found out while I was doing research on the company. Because I said, if we have this conversation on Thursday and y'all want me to start on Monday, I need to understand this business. I need to understand what they do. Because as a consultant, even as an employee, consultant, whatever, I want to hit the ground running. And I want to go in there equipped with a foundation that I've created so that I can position myself to just roll up my sleeves, as they say in accounting, and go forward. I knew it was a mess, an accounting mess that I was cleaning up. I knew that there were some challenges, account regs, SOPs, month-end close is taking forever. Typical GL accountant problems, right? And the thing with accounting is, no, let me not say that. Because again, that's another tangent. That's another episode. So this is what happens when I'm going off the dome and I don't have any show notes and I end up doing my impromptu episodes. Now, some of my episodes I will sit down and have a topic, write out some notes. But sometimes I just need to say things. And I need to say them, number one. But number two, I need to share them with y'all. So I got this role as a consultant. It was supposed to be for 8 weeks. They kept extending my contract. And that 8 weeks turned into almost a year. So I loved it. And it positioned me to get an even bigger consulting contract after that. So I'm working on this first project, this 8-week project that became almost a year project for a $200 or $300 million company as far as annual revenue goes. And as soon as I wrapped up that project, I was invited to consult on a similar project, similar in scope, but this was now an $85 billion project. So to go from $250 million to $85 billion, whole new level of issues and problems, because I was still fixing accounting problems. I think about that experience, how much I enjoyed it, how much fun I had from something that I told my younger self that I would never do. That I told my unseasoned accounting self that I would never do. So the takeaway from that is be open to detours in your career, to doing different things. I can close any company's books in my sleep at this point in my career. I have always had both hands and both feet in month-end close, account recs, running all of that, updating the calendar. So I was happy to take this detour and do something different and see a different side of accounting, but also acquire a new skill set. That's where I developed my M&A expertise. Really sharpened my working in ambiguous and uncertain situations skill set. Really, really honed in on my storytelling, persuasiveness, and selling ideas, getting people to buy into your ideas. So I learned some technical things, and I also learned some essential skills that a lot of people refer to as soft skills. I don't think there's anything soft about them. If you ask me, the soft skills are a hell of a lot more important than the technical, because technical can be learned, right? And you could say the soft skills can be learned, but you just have to have something in you when it comes to soft skills. Technical skills can be taught, can be learned, can be taught. So that's a long-winded explanation of the second pillar that I said I would never go into, which is public accounting. The third one, which is kind of a misnomer, is FP&A, financial planning and analysis. And I say that because I don't consider that to be accounting. Too often we see people say accounting and finance, or finance and accounting. And I couldn't understand why people bundle these two things together when they are very much like oil and water, from my perspective. I am an accountant. I am not a finance person. I am a certified public accountant. I love journal entries, account reconciliations, GAAP, looking at things like that, going through the annual audit, writing the ASC 606 memo, which ASC 606 is maturing, but I had to write a memo one time to tell our auditors how we recognize revenue and how we make money using customers as case stories or case studies. That's what I love. The P&L review, the P&L analysis. Why is this up? Why is this down? Looking at budgets, things like that. I don't love forecasting, judgments, budgeting, which I think I just said. I don't like being so deep down in the budget cycle, which from an accounting standpoint, we have to. But there's some companies who they have FP&A teams who manage all of this, and they just feed the information to accounting that accounting needs. So over the years, as I've led accounting departments, when I walked into these roles, one of the first priorities was, who's over FP&A? I need to know that person. We need to get acquainted, because I know I don't like this stuff, but I want to make sure I have a good relationship with them so that my team and I can get what we need from an FP&A perspective to do the accounting part of things. So, another tangent. I'm so glad I left early, number one. I like to be early on things. I don't like to be on time. To be on time is to be late. But I left early. I'm in traffic jam, going 12 miles an hour, typical Atlanta. And I have my Waze on in case I need to take a shortcut or something, and to see what time I get there. And there's already been 8 minutes added to my arrival time. But even then, I'm still going to be on time because I left early, because I live in Atlanta and we have to budget our time for these things on these highways. But I found myself a true accountant to my core in a job that was 95% finance, and 5% accounting, because occasionally I would book an accrual or something. And I knew at the very beginning, like, nah, this ain't gonna work. I don't like this at all. But I thought back to my experience in public accounting as a consultant. I said I wasn't gonna do that. And I did it. And I loved it. So maybe I can develop this like with finance, because I knew it wasn't going to be a love. I knew even if I liked it, I'm not going to love it. So here I am again saying I'm taking a detour, doing something I said I would never do, and let's see how it turns out this time around. And it was the polar opposite of my experience in public accounting. I didn't even get to the like phase of finance. I got to a phase of I absolutely positively do not like finance, is where I got to. And if we had to compare and contrast or say, oh, well, why didn't you like it? And what happened? I always thought accounting and finance was the same. In some companies, they're the same because they have to be. Because they don't have the resources to have a separate accounting department and a separate finance, FP&A, financial reporting department. So in some cases, they naturally merge. In the case of a startup or a small company or something like that. But that whole all of the, if I had to summarize it in one sentence, I would say this. Accounting, there's no subjectivity. There's no gray. It's either black or it's white, and you're not going to tell me it's blue, because we have the paper trail, the supporting documentation to tell you that it's either black or it's white. There's no gray, there's no blue, there's no green. And accountants have the skill set to tell that story and tell it in a way that non-accountants, our business partners, our stakeholders can understand, right? Finance, on the other hand, is very subjective. You never know if the job is really complete. This is my perspective. Somebody else might give you a different view, but this is my perspective. I didn't feel very confident at times in the things that we were reporting, because if you look at it through one lens, it can be one conclusion. If you look at it through a different lens, it can be a different conclusion. And I didn't like that. Which one do I believe? It depends on what day it is. What is this? Where did this even come from? All of this is all based on speculation. And so now it's a battle of managing all of the conversations of all the people involved, because one person wants the 75 million and another person wants the 70, but somebody else feels like it should be 80. And so it becomes this managing conversations, and you're telling a story and you're selling your idea, but you're selling your idea to somebody who's not being open-minded, because they already have their 75 versus your 70, or their 80 versus your 70. So with accounting, the journal entry is what it is. This is the entry we booked because this is the sales ticket that we have. This is the merchandise that was sold, or these are the services that were provided. And we have a paper trail, an indisputable paper trail of all of that. And if something is wrong, it's wrong because somebody entered the invoice wrong, or something, a keying error. Or if it's just flat out fraud when the transaction didn't happen at all, that's something else. But having to switch my brain from operating as an accountant to now play in this gray sandbox was like, no, I don't like this at all. I don't like this at all. Even when I tried to like it, I don't like this at all. And I operated in that space for a minute. And then I got to a point of, okay, I don't like this. And now it's getting busier and busier. I don't like this. I cannot stand this. I got to get out of here. This is driving me crazy. I don't even want to do my work. I don't even want to do my work. These are the conversations that my clients want to have with me. This is the stuff that I listen to y'all tell me in our coaching sessions. I'm trying to figure out how to get out this job. It doesn't suit me. I started this job 6 months ago. It's not what I thought it was. Nikki, help me. So now, here I am having to listen to my own advice. And what would I tell somebody who is in this situation of, I'm in this job I don't like. How do I get out? What does my next move need to be? And for me, I had to pause and take a step back and say, what happened? How did I get here? So I called myself voyaging out into this finance world to explore it, to learn something. I can check the box and say I did that. And I can also double check the box and say I did it and I didn't like it. So I'm not upset with myself for taking a detour, because life is all about detours, whether it's work or just living everyday life. And I love a good detour, a scenic route, a change of pace, something new. I'm all for that. So I am actually happy with myself and glad that I had the audacity to step out of my beautiful world of GL accounting and do something different. Regardless of what the outcome was, the fact that I had the audacity to do that. Speaking of audacity, I created a community, because there's a lot of y'all. There's CPAs, there's the future CPAs, there's the new CPAs, there's the seasoned accounting professionals. And I felt like, how can I create something where we can all play in this accounting sandbox together? So I created a community. It's called the Audacious Accountants. And it's all of the group coaching, one-on-one coaching, resources, tools, what to do when you start a new job, how to negotiate everything from your salary to the kitchen sink, how to manage your manager, how to get promoted, how to learn how to lead, so many different things. Of course, how to get ready for the CPA exam, whether it's audit, BEC, reg, or FAR. That's going to be our situation for the next year or so. And then we're moving on to CPA evolution. So I created the community so that everybody could meet and commingle in one place. And I'm excited about it. I would love for y'all to join me. I will put the link to the community in the notes. And I felt like we all needed to be together as accounting professionals, because even if you join my CPA exam coaching program, you're not going to be a CPA candidate forever. Eventually, you're going to pass the exam. You're going to become a new CPA. You're going to say, okay, what's next for me? How do I apply for my license? What is my career going to look like? How do I even start to build relationships as a new CPA? Or maybe you're an accounting professional, CPA or not. Like, hey, I don't want to take the CPA exam, but I really need to talk to somebody about how to navigate my career. And what do I need to do to level up? And how can I assess my skills and refresh my resume and start having conversations to stand out as a superstar in this industry? That's the gist of the community. So it's fresh and new. I was running my programs in my community on a separate platform, which didn't give me everything that I needed as far as features and just things that I wanted to create for y'all, to have this robust community where we can share thoughts, ideas, new jobs, plug people, connect people with new jobs and opportunities. So check out the link in the show notes, and definitely come and see what it's about, explore, have a look around. Would love to have y'all join the community. And it's also, the link is join.winstoncpagroup.com. So you click that, you can join as a CPA candidate, you can join as someone who just passed all parts of the CPA and now you're ready to start your career, and you can also join as an accounting professional. Like, hey, I just want a network of people who are working in accounting like me, who understand when I talk about accruals and month-end close, who can help me navigate moving from a staff accountant to a senior, to a director, to a controller, to a CFO kind of thing. So join.winstoncpagroup.com if you would like to continue this conversation or have more of these types of conversations. But how did I get here? What am I going to do? So as I said, first it was, what am I going to do next? And now but before that, it's what am I going to do now? So I've got the what am I going to do now out of the way. I need to get out of this role because it doesn't suit me. And I was very vocal about that with my manager. So that's another thing that I want y'all to keep in mind. When you feel the need to leave a job, whether it's internal or external, it doesn't have to be awkward. It doesn't have to be adversarial. People land in places that are not always for them, and that is totally okay. And hopefully you work in an organization where that type of culture is the norm. That, hey, it's okay, but there's plenty of other places where we can leverage your talent and your skill sets, right? That's the response that you want. So another point I want to share, and then I'll wrap this up, because number one, I'm almost to the dermatologist, and number two, I try to keep these episodes 30 minutes or so manageable for y'all to listen to on a lunch break, on your way home, in traffic, something like that. The last point I want to make is, even if you're in a job today, as you listen to this, you're in a job that you don't like, focus on being present where you are. Because too often we get in these circumstances at work, in life in general, that we don't want to be in. And we start consuming, we start imagining, and our day becomes consumed with us wishing and hoping to be in this other place. So much so that we miss what's happening in the present, right? You might say, well, I don't care about what's happening because I don't even like it there. But there's something to be learned there. There's a reason why you're there. Even if you don't like it, there is a reason why you are there in that professional spot. There might also be a reason why you are where you are personally. If you're in a situation personally that you don't want to be in, focus on what you can take from it now until you can get to where you want to go. So for me, that was, I'm going to look for other roles, move to another department, check out other teams. But for now, I still have deliverables. I'm still in this role. And I still don't want to let my stakeholders down. So what can I do to lean into the parts of this role that I do enjoy. Focus on those parts that are important, that are critical to others. That's a big thing for me, is I always want to make sure my stakeholders are happy, that they're informed, that they don't feel like, hey, I haven't heard from Nicole, I don't know what's going on. I never want my stakeholders to feel that way. So if this is your current situation, I don't like this job, I don't like the work I do, I'm not making enough money, I don't get along with my manager, they're not flexible, whatever the situation is, there has to be at least one thing that you like about this job, because you keep getting up and doing it every day. Even if you say, hey, I'm just here for the check, nothing wrong with that, but that's a reason for you to dig deep and figure out, what am I going to do now? How am I going to deliver in the present until I can get to where I want to be in the future? Because at the end of the day and the beginning of the next, this isn't about the company. This is about your brand. So how can you still come out of this, even in burnout, even if you've checked out, even if you're coasting along, just doing the bare minimum each day? Think about your brand. Think about how this place that you don't want to be in can positively impact you and position you for that next big thing that's waiting for you. Once you get out of this season of being in something you don't want to be in, there is something to be learned there. I'm thinking back to when I was a CPA candidate, studying day in and day out, not knowing when I was going to pass the exam, not knowing when I was going to get that congratulatory letter to apply for my license. I knew it was coming. I didn't know what hour, what day, what year, but I knew it was coming. And because I knew that, and because I believed that, that was motivation for me to continue to work hard, to study, to understand accounting conceptually, not just for purposes of passing the CPA exam. So that's all I got for y'all. I would love to continue this conversation or hear your thoughts if this is something that you can relate to. Because we all go through it. Sometimes your coach needs coaching. So I had to put my proverbial big girl panties back on. They were in the drawer. I don't ever leave them too far behind, because you never know when you got to pull out them big girl panties or them big boy panties, right? So I'm gonna leave y'all with that. The other analogy I use is the hairdresser that never does her hair, the hairdresser that always wears a hat, you know, the accountant whose books are behind. They're doing your books and your stuff is excellent and great, but they haven't done their own books. Sometimes your expert needs expertise from others. Sometimes the coach has to be coached. So that's what this was. I had to take my own advice. I had to be the coach and the coachee, the coach and the client. So thank y'all for tuning in as usual. I'm almost to the dermatologist, and I'm glad I was able to share this. I hope that y'all can hear it okay despite the traffic and things happening around me. But I will talk to y'all soon. If y'all want to hit me up and talk about this, or you have a specific career question, you can email me, Nicole, Nicole, at winstoncpagroup.com. You can also hit me up on social media at Nick Winston CPA. I'm on LinkedIn most of the time, or Twitter, so you can hit me up over there. Sometimes I'm on Instagram, but again, another story for another day, why I'm not on Instagram as much as I used to be. But yeah, y'all be good. Thank y'all for listening. I feel good now that I got that out. And I hope that if you are listening or you rewind and wait, what did she say? Or you taking notes, whatever it is, I hope that this brings some value to you, some motivation, some inspiration for you to stop coasting, to stop just getting by at work. Dig deep and be great. We operate in excellence over here, not perfection. That's not even part of our vocabulary. We operate in excellence. And excellence is defined as doing a great job, doing a superb job to the best of your ability. Attention to detail. Putting forth an effort. Bringing value to your team, your stakeholders, your department, your organization. That's how you get the superstar status. So, okay, y'all be good. I'm almost to the dermatologist. Check out the other Career Convos episodes in this series. I am almost at an hour. It's 48 minutes and some change. So if y'all take some time to listen to this. I think it's good because I feel good just saying it. So I hope it will offer some value to y'all in y'all careers. So we'll talk soon. Y'all be good. Thank you again for tuning in and rocking with me on another episode of the WERKin Mommas podcast. This podcast is the business plan for entrepreneurs, the how-to and WTF guide for busy moms, and the coattail pulling career advice that professionals need to win in the corporate world. I'm Nikki Winston. I am a mama. I'm a CPA and a career development expert who put all the what ifs aside and launched my podcast. Do you love this content? If so, I would love for you to help create more of it. Support the WERKin Mommas podcast at buymeacoffee.com/Nick Winston CPA. When you go to the site, click on the support button, and from there you can buy as many cups of coffee or tea as you like. And feel free to leave a comment while you're there. Tell me what you like the most about the WERKin Mommas podcast. Head over to buymeacoffee.com/Nick Winston CPA and help create more of the content you love. If you're a CPA candidate, you can join the Winston CPA exam virtual classroom online at winstoncpagroup.com/CPA exam. Business owners, get answers to accounting and tax questions and how to form your LLC or corporation at winstoncpagroup.com/business. Are you a professional working in the corporate world? Well, there's career advice and tools that you need to elevate your leadership skills. Click on the career advice page of winstoncpagroup.com or go to winstoncpagroup.com/career advice. And of course, for the busy, overworked moms, there is a place where we understand your struggle. Join the WERKin Mommas community for cleaning hacks, quick meals that are nutritious and kid approved, and all things mom life at thewerkinmommas.com. We also have a Pinterest board that's called Supercharged Self-Care that all the moms love. So check out our mom life tips over on Pinterest.com/theworkinmommas. And of course, if you are not already, you can follow me online on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter at Nick Winston CPA. Connect with the WERKin Mommas online at thewerkinmommas.com, as well as on the Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn pages. Thank you again. It has been fun, and my podcast is a labor of love for me. So I appreciate every single solitary person who is tuning in, and I look forward to you coming back to rock with me on another episode of the WERKin Mommas podcast.